Hi everybody, Colin Stevenson here. Welcome back to our channel. I'm joined with my hero, John Lenhart. Hi John.
Hi.
Now, you have probably watched John and I talk about storytelling. I also did a video with Ed Mabry, which was part two, which is about the characters in the story. And today, John and I are going to discuss the conclusion. So bringing, like we did with racism, with part one, part two, we bring them together as a conclusion in the third part. So John, take it away. Where would you like to go?
So I really enjoyed Ed and you talking to part two. And honestly, I saw that part two as like a great first executive coaching or life coaching session. I think if anybody is interested in life coaching or the value of it, I would highly recommend watching that part two, especially the last 5 to 10 minutes. Because the main point that we're trying to make with storytelling is our brains work according to stories. Mental health is learning in stories. Mental health is talking in stories. And that's what's going to help you. So you and Ed did a great job of kind of building the framework, of what stories are. And it really set up our talk today to bring this conclusion. And honestly, I can see today's talk as being the second session with a life coach. So this is a great self-assessment, because what we're going to do is we're going to help people see their lives as a story and diagnose where they are in the story of their own life.
Yep, love that. Now, we went through the characters in the last one with Ed, and I'm sure people will want to watch that and understand the characters, because we're moving on to a different level today, which will be, again, not so much stepping up, but stepping across to the next level. So the characters, I would love for people to watch the last episode to understand this episode, because the reason we split these up is so that we split the conversations. We can sit and talk about this for hours and hours, but people stop learning after a while, and this is why we break them down for them, so they don't get bored and they get short snippets that they can put together.
Right. So one of the other issues is Ed talked about these, the redemptive arcs, these story types. So what I want to do is I want to talk to people about the story of your life. And there's 3 arcs, hopefully, everybody's life follows. So the first arc is called the negative arc. So all of us start life on the negative arc. All of us have a plan for happiness that comes from some inherent desire. The desire is good, but everybody's got some inherent desire. I want to help people do this. I want to help, I want to help people understand, the value of education or the value of mental health or whatever it is. We all start on this negative arc. We have a plan for what's going to make us happy. And like Ed said, we think we're the hero. And the problem is the villain thinks they're the hero. So people on a negative arc are saying, I know I'm the hero. I know I'm going to do this great thing. I've got this plan for how I'm going to help all these people. And I know people are in the negative arc when they don't tell me a story about how they crashed or how they had an epiphany that showed them they were wrong. So when you tell a story that we talked about, you got to introduce the characters, introduce the conflict. The conflict's the tension. The conflict's the issue. You're not going to get a release and feel good about the story with the resolution if there's no conflict. The deeper the conflict, the better the story. So if somebody tells me the story of their life and I hear, I'm really good at this, I'm going to fix the world with this, I'm going to be really awesome, and I never hear and then I realized I was wrong. I need to hear people say in their story, and then I found out I was wrong.
Now, you and I have had many talks, and I have discussed with you how many times I have been wrong in my life with choices, but every choice and every wrong that I've made, I was then able to find another right that took me further towards the flow, the happiness that comes from flow. And I'll happily admit that I've been wrong many, many a time, but it's all experience. And this is all given to me to follow my journey. And it's been great.
Right. So that's the thing is beware of people when they tell their story They don't have some point in it when they realize they were wrong. Their strategy was wrong. It was hurting people, okay? So what happens with that is that if you think about it, the sooner that happens, the better.
Yes.
So when you talk to somebody who's in their 30s and they don't have they don't have that story about how they were wrong, know that probably in their late 30s or 40s, they're going to hit that point where they crash. Okay. Now, would it have been better for them to crash when they're 21 or 40? And what's funny is I deal with a lot of people who crash at 21 or 23 or 19. And the first thing I say to them is, this is great.
Yeah.
You are now through the negative part of your arc. And they look to everybody else who hasn't crashed and goes, but, they're going to crash down the road. They think they're doing great. And they are going to act like they're doing great now. But trust me, let's exchange emails. Because 20 years from now, I'm going to write you and go, hey, how's Lance Armstrong doing today? It's like that crash. Everybody has a crash. The goal is to have that crash sooner rather than later. Now, Ed talked about the tragedy. That's one of the 5 stories. The tragedy is when the crash happens and the person dies. So the negative arc ends in a death. That's the tragedy. So these tragic stories are just really about this person who thought they had the solution to everything, and they experienced this crash and die. The redemptive arc is when the person experiences the crash and lives. And the story can end there. You can read a story where all it was redemption. They realized, they were wrong. Well, it's exciting. They're no longer bad. So the main point I want to make about the negative arc is, if people don't tell you about a crash they had, or an epiphany where they were wrong, and say, I was wrong. I had a plan for happiness, and the very first video you and I did was happiness. I had a plan for happiness, and I realized it was wrong.
Yeah.
If they don't tell you that, they're on the negative arc. The sooner they end the negative arc, the better. So we look up to people who are just going whole hog. I've never had a failure. I've never been wrong. I'm doing great. I'm 35. It's when this thing ended a fiery ball. So I actually feel bad about people on LinkedIn who are bragging about how great they're doing without ever having a problem.
Yeah. And just as you spoke about that there now, the story you're talking about, this negative arc, okay, that is martyrdom, right? Martyrdom. This is them being a martyr. So it's like they'll put themselves in the firing line without understanding. They will give their life for something that's clearly not going to work, because even though it's going wrong, they will avoid looking at the signs. They will avoid feeling, this negative energy, and they will fight through it. Now, what I will look at is, and I will put an analogy of, is William Wallace in Scotland. So I don't know if you've ever seen Braveheart. And at the end of Braveheart, he gets hung, drawn, and quartered, which means he can no longer help his country that he was fighting for, And yes, it's great. He did what he did when he was still alive. But what could he have done if he had just taken the correct approach, stayed alive longer? Maybe there's a bit of give and take, less egotistical, maneuvers that he could have made in conversation, etc., to allow this to come in. And I watch on LinkedIn constantly, and other platforms. They're all martyrs. I look at them as martyrs. They're willing to fight until they die to push their agenda, and it's very, very difficult to watch sometimes.
I think it's extremely difficult to watch, and the thing is that, I feel bad for these people, but what I really feel bad is for the people who look up to those people. And you and I talked about that a lot. It's like, I'm not so worried about the person pushing a negative arc. I'm worried about the person celebrating the person pushing a negative arc. So that's where I like to ask, do you think this person's helping anybody? How is this person actually helping you? And they're not. They're just they're putting up this ideal of perfection that doesn't exist. So when people have that crash, that's when they can take the positive arc. So now the second arc in people's life is people get on the positive arc. People recognize that they've had this, they realize they've been wrong. And now what they're doing is their focus is just growth.
Yep.
Their focus is not, I'm going to be the greatest, blah, blah, blah. The focus is how do I become better? Yep. I need to become better. I need to focus on myself. You know, the negative arc is always focused on everybody else.
Yep.
How can I prove to everybody else I'm the hero? How can I, you know, all of a sudden the positive arc person doesn't think they're the hero, and they are the hero. Okay. And Ed talked about this. It was great. It's like a person on a positive arc doesn't tell anybody they're a hero. They go, I'm not that great. I'm not a hero. When I met you, you're like, I'm not that great. I'm not that special. I'm like, oh, and that my first thought was positive arc. This guy is on the positive arc.
Yeah. And I was just about to say to you there, just before you triggered what my thoughts were going to be. So I literally was on the negative arc until I left the army. So I did still want to help people, and I came out still wanting to help people, but it just wasn't working. And then I did crash, and I crashed just between, that was probably about 2 years ago, I took my crash, my proper crash. Now, spirituality will call it dark night of the soul. Other people will call it a crash in mental health, whatever you want to look at. That was my crash, and that was my choice to look at, okay, everything I've been doing up till now, I have tried, and it has not worked. Why would I go over the same thing again? I now need to learn and grow. And this was the point where then you came into my life and asked me one question, which changed my life completely. And now I'm on, and I believe I'll always be growing, you know, but now I have incorporated growth and helping, and you know, and everything's in a cumulative now. And it's a much better place to be in.
Right. So you had gone through that negative arc, and I love that dark night of the soul. You know, it's an epiphany. You didn't die.
Nope.
It was a redemptive aspect to it. There was an epiphany. And so then what happens is that you start going on this positive arc, and you're about growth. You don't see yourself as the hero, but you are the hero. And you're focused on yourself. You're like, you know what? I don't need to worry about anybody else but me. I need to grow myself. I need to grow these abilities because I am lacking. I have this, and it is a focus on achievement. It is a focus on working your way up. And so this is where Ed talked about now, what are the different arcs, you know, on this journey? Because if you're focused on yourself during this arc, that's the arc of self-discovery, or the journey of self-discovery. So there are certain stories that are the journey of self-discovery, where you're finding more and more who you are, and that's coming out, and you're having more, you know, faith in yourself. You know, have faith, trust yourself. You know, Ed said that.
Yeah.
If your focus becomes on a higher power, and you mentioned spirituality, yeah. Okay? If your focus is on that, then that's called the awakening. Okay, that's the arc of the awakening. So what happens is now those people are in the arc of the awakening, is they realize there's a higher power. They realize that there's something bigger than them, again, which puts them in this place of, I'm not the hero. There's something bigger than me. You're the hero. Okay, so that's what's happening. So those people who look outside are the awakening. So when people get on the positive arc, they're either looking to themselves to make themselves better, self-discovery. Yeah. Or they're looking to a higher power, religious, and they're having an awakening. When they complete that arc, when they've attained the thing, when they've realized and achieved the thing and realize who they are, they have completed their hero's journey. Yeah. And that's what Ed talked about, you know. So those are all 5. I mentioned all 5 of those. That's the hero's journey. And so most of the stories that we see go through this. This person starts a story off with some sort of power that they use the wrong way. Yeah. And then what happens is they have some sort of crash. And then they either look within themselves and bring that out, or they look outside themselves. And when they can bring that inherent desire that was present in the negative arc, but they're bringing it out in the opposite way. Yeah. You know, and that's what happened to you. What you were doing in the negative arc, you're still doing it, but I say it's in the opposite way. You're directing that towards others. Yeah. Whereas you might have been directing it towards yourself and benefiting yourself. You're directing it towards others. And then you have this hero's journey. You attain this thing. You're using that purpose that was right. That's why the villain feels like a hero, because they're doing something that feels right. Now you're turning it the right way. You've had the hero's journey. And these stories always end there. and they live happily ever after. What does happily ever after look like?
Flow. You flow. You just flow and you maintain yourself. You know, you still grow, you still learn, you still help. You live in your uniqueness and you just flow. And that is happiness.
Right. So that's why it's always interesting. All these movies end with happily ever after because they're the hero's journey. Just like Ed said, it's the hero's journey. All these stories are the hero's journey. And then what happens is they don't know what to say after that because they don't account for the third arc.
Yep.
So right now, I'm saying, you know, you can assess yourself. Am I on the negative arc? Can I not point to a crash I've had? Am I, you know, thinking I'm the hero? Be honest. Do you think you're the hero? You're on the negative arc. Am I in the positive arc? I don't think I'm a hero. I got a long way to go. I'm trying to grow. I'm always going to be growing. I'm doing this thing. I'm achieving. I'm, you know, I feel the pressure of, I want to get somewhere. We got to fix the world. We got to, let's go. And I want to do this. Not that it's bad to feel like this, but you can feel this tension of, I want to fix the world. The third arc is called the flat arc. And the flat arc is now where the person goes, I am now focused on everybody else. I know who I am. But when you hit the flat arc, you go, I know who I am. I know I'm at high self-esteem. I know who I am. When you tell me something great about me, it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel better about you because I go, you're pretty smart that you figured it out.
Yeah.
I know what I don't like. I don't need to spend the rest of my life doing things I don't like. I know what I like. I know who I am. And my focus now is turning other people into heroes. It's that generative life. It's helping these other people. I don't feel anxious for anything. And you'll notice people who get on the flat arc, they just even out. And there's nothing wrong with being on the positive arc. I'm 57, okay? My wife is 50. She's still on the positive arc, okay? And she's still trying to really embrace that so she can get to this place where, because you can see people are on the flat arc. They just go, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush. Yeah, the world is burning. I'm just going to help who I can help. I'm not going to yell at anybody. I'm not going to start a fight. I'm just going to relax. I'm not going to be in a rush for anything. I'm on the flat arc. You're not going to motivate me by telling me I'm going to win the Nobel Prize. No. You're not going to motivate me by holding a big check in front of me or you're not. I'm on the flat arc. I know who I am. I know what I like doing. I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
And do you know what? That sounds roughly where I am at the moment because I'm not chasing. I'm not chasing anything. I think,
Colin, you're right in this transition to get the flat arc. I think with each one of these videos that we do, I think with the response you're getting from people, I think you're getting to this place. I think you're really close to finishing the hero's journey where you go, that's who I am. And I don't need to do anything else other than that. That is who I am. When people hit the flat arc, they go, that's not me. You can come to me and say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Those are all great things. That's not me. I am sitting here and I'm on the flat arc. And I'll tell you to kind of wrap up my point here. My son got me into the Avatar Last Airbender, these videos. And, and I was to really try to understand him more. He's an administrator and Aang is an administrator. And there's a character in there that is administrator teacher like me. And he is me to a T. On my Facebook, I put a clip up of his, and his name is Iroh, Uncle Iroh. And Iroh's administrator teacher. He is on the flat arc. And the thing is that he gets the chance to be the king at the end. And he goes, give it to someone else. He goes, I want to open a tea shop and play Pai-Jo, which is a game, every day. Like, he's like, I know what I like. I want to open this tea shop because I love talking about tea, and I want to play this game, administrator, every day and probably teach it to people. That's it. I know what I like. And there's this great clip, and it's me to tea. If you wanted to understand me, here's exactly who I am. he's walking down the street. He walks into an alley, and this guy wants to rob him. And the guy's got a knife, and he's standing there. And Iroh does all the backward steps. He goes, "What are you doing?" Question. He goes, "I'm robbing you." And he goes, "With that stance?" He goes, you know, "You're easy to knock over." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, boom, boom, boom. He knocks the guy over and grabs the knife. Okay, so he's administrating. He says, and he's teaching. You got a bad stance.
Yeah.
And then he lifts the guy up and he gives him the knife back. He goes, "If you're going to rob me like this." And he teaches the guy how to stand. Lynch is like, I've done this to people. I have taught people how to beat me in an argument. I've sat there and went, "You know how you can beat me in an argument? Do this." And everybody looks at me like, "Oh, I'm administrating teaching. Iroh is going to teach this guy how to rob him the right way." He's like, "Stand like this, get like this." And when the guy does it, Iroh goes, "You know, you don't look to me like a robber. You look to me like there's another issue." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I'm having this problem." And then they cut away. The next thing, they're having tea. And the guy says to Iroh, "So you think I could be a masseuse?" He goes, "Oh, you would be like that's me. Like, you're going to come at me and hurt me. Come at me and hurt me. I'll show you how to hurt me. Well, I will facilitate your ability to hurt me. Here's how you do it. Now that that's out of the way, because it's a dissolve, I want to dissolve it now. What's your real issue? Your real issue is you don't know who you are. Let me help you find out who you are. But you're not going to listen to me until you have an objective. I want to hurt you. Here's how you can hurt me. Is that gone? Now here's the real issue. Let's dissolve this whole thing. The real issue is you don't know who you are. Let me help you find out who you are. Let me help you go forward." That's all I want to do. I'm on the flat arc. I'm here to help people. And it just throws people when they go, "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to make a bunch of money? Are you trying to, you're acting like I'm on the positive or negative arc." I'm on the flat arc.
Love that. And just to go and wrap up on that, do you know, just as you were talking there, and how you can actually put all, whether it's server, giver, administrator, teacher, if people could just see how easily this can be applied to characters in movies and characters in life, our life, you know, Flowcess has the model, and just, we'll talk about this quickly just before we go. I asked people on LinkedIn if they had a model for psychology, because I remember our conversation that we had. And they all came up with theories, and you know, we had nice conversations. So not only does what you do and what you've created actually allow people to listen and watch stories, you know, because they can create them themselves. Whatever information they've got, they can ask for that information to gain energy, to allow them to understand more and create a story that might have been just two lines of interaction. You know, they then created it, and it's just fantastic how you can actually break everything down. And once you get into the practice of using it, you're able to actually see the benefits of it. I mean, tangibly, it's amazing.
Right, and so we are all telling a story with how we live.
Yeah, love it. No, thank you so much, John. I'm looking forward to our next video, which is going to be
Giver.
Cannot wait, because this is one that I've been struggling to determine between giver and server, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, John.
Bye.
Bye.